can't say I'm a major fan of the Shin Megami Tensei games, though not due to a lack of quality in them. I've played Persona 3 and 5 and rate both very highly, but I've not delved much into the rest of the franchise. I've been meaning to try SMT 3 Lucifer's Call for the past half century, so hopefully I'll get around to that at some point. Regardless, I'm quite fond of the lore and the characterization of the recurring demons. In fact, it seems a shame that they're relegated to simple enemies to slay, and it's odd to me that Jack Brothers on the Virtual Boy is the only entry to have broken this trend. So about a month ago, Atlus released a new trailer for their upcoming game Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux. Usually this wouldn't be cause for me to make a video, but this trailer contains some interesting footage. In a challenge to discover the mysteries of the Schwarzwald, a location from Strange Journey, it appeared to be a Metroidvania-styled adventure featuring fan favourites Jack Frost and Pyrojack. I was sat there like, whoa, check out those graphics. Ooh, that boss fight looks amazing. Leveling up? Sweet. Does this come with the game or something? Yet, no sooner was my interest piqued than the concept deemed a lie at the end of that trailer segment. What a bummer. Or was it? Despite that trailer claiming that it was only a fake, Atlus has now released the title on PC. Shin Megami Tensei Synchronicity Prologue is the name, and it's free to download until the 24th of December 2017 if you're interested. Synchronicity Prologue begins with the player being assigned to control Jack Frost and waking up in a ruined research facility in the Antarctic with no memories, but the odd feeling that you need to do something. It doesn't take a lot of exploration before you find Pyrojack frozen and rescue him. It's at this point you learn there's a rogue Black Frost going around, destroying anything and anyone that gets in its way, and the duo decide to team up, venture across this world with multiple encounters with other Shin Megami Tensei demons along the way, and take down this Black Frost for good. This is achieved in standard fashion for the Metroidvania genre. Explore your surroundings and find items, unlock doors, and upgrade your arsenal to open up previously inaccessible areas. But there are some interesting and unique elements to differentiate Synchronicity Prologue from other Metroidvanias, some SMT specific and some not. Having two playable characters instead of one opens up gameplay as each is good for specific challenges the other falls short on. Jack Frost can run, jump, and freeze enemies off to either side with ice-based attacks, while Pyrojack hovers above the ground and throws fire in multiple directions. Navigating the Schwarzwald optimally often involves assessing the landscape and deciding which Jack's movement options are most appropriate for the situation. Enemies encountered all have specific weaknesses to different elements, something carried over from the SMT RPGs, which adds a certain amount of strategy to most battles. If an enemy's weaker to flames than ice, it would be more beneficial for the player to take them on as Pyrojack than Jack Frost. SP also rewards the player for their previous knowledge of the SMT games, since many of the demons in this game have the same strengths and weaknesses as they did in prior titles. Of course, there's little annoyance to trial and error as you only have to kill one of the enemy to see its weaknesses. The exception to this comes in the bosses, who don't tend to be weak to any of your attacks in particular. Rather, the best strategy here is often to use the environment around you and the movement options each Jack presents to your advantage. As few bosses as there are, all are very well designed and challenging, but never get to the point of being unfair or annoying. Though it must be said, there's an astounding amount of attention to detail and polish, and Synchronicity Prologue stands out in general for it. Considering it's only a freeware promotional title, it's clear that Atlus went above and beyond when they could have half-baked the project. Graphically, the game has little to complain about. There aren't many wow moments outside of the final boss fight, but colourful environments, seamless tile sets, and a cave story-esque style make sure everything's nice to look at, and animations are functional enough so not to break immersion. Characters look true to how they've appeared previously, but still retain a unique style to this game and pop out from the backgrounds. The soundtrack to Synchronicity Prologue is also surprisingly well crafted and produced very skillfully for something that, again, serves only as promotional material in the long run. There's a lot of care placed into tone in particular. For example, the bombastic horns of the Arctic tundra contrast wonderfully with the castle's eerie organs and woodwinds, and the orchestral sounds come off as professional and genuine, with some crisp, punchy mastering behind them. These aren't quite tunes that you're going to be humming when you're out and about in your daily life, aside from maybe the first area, but they're definitely nice melodies. As for sound effects, they're mostly unmemorable and generic, but definitely serviceable. I never found any of them annoying, but they just kind of blended into the action, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, don't get me wrong. I can think of quite a few games where certain sound effects get really obnoxious very quick. Story-wise, there isn't a great deal to write home about regarding Synchronicity Prologue. After all, it is only a few hours long, but Symphony of the Night style cutscenes drip feed you bits and pieces of dialogue and narrative, and some light exposition on the world this takes place in. It's not much, but I do have to say it made me curious enough to think about picking up Strange Journey someday to see exactly what all this relates to. Though perhaps it might be due to the fact I'm playing a machine translation of the original script, but certain pieces of the story seemed a little flat. Any more tense or heart-wrenching moments were only made so by the musical choices and imagery, not so much what the characters were saying or the way they were saying it. With all that out of the way, I would say that Shin Megami Tensei Synchronicity Prologue is worth playing for either fans of the franchise or those into the Metroidvania genre in general. There are some minor flaws regarding the use of skills and buying items, namely how you can get by entirely without the former, and the prices in the latter scale a bit wonkily, but again, my playthrough going in blind totaled at 2 hours and 24 minutes, so any flaws that do crop up aren't there long enough to annoy you, though you'll need a fan translation patch to truly enjoy the story. For the most part, this is definitely playable without any knowledge of Japanese, and you'll be missing out on a game that really goes the distance when it didn't have to at all, with detailed design and art, music and sound to charm and entertain you for the short time it lasts, if you do decide to forego this. I'd say give it a go.